Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Joe Callahan Jr., joined by Tim Rogers and Carlos Garcia. The UFC 268 event last night marked the most anticipated card since the disappointing UFC me DMs Poirier versus Corey McGregor fight. And UFC fans are now in Dana White's DMs asking, y'all got any more of them cards? All jokes aside, we'll start from the top of the lightweight division. Tim, what was your impressions on Gaethje's unanimous win over Chandler?
I think now he cemented himself saying, all right, I deserve a title fight. I mean, we talked about it offset. He didn't really need to take this fight. He didn't, because we knew he was that top fighter, and he knew he was going to get that title fight after Oliveira versus Poirier. But he just showed that he's a better fighter than Michael Chandler. Give Chandler all the credit in the world. He fought fantastic. He had the round run was all him. But round two, Gaethje caught him, and it was over there. So Gaethje, you got to give him that title fight now. I think there's no question about it. He did lose to Poirier in 2018, so I think he would like to see Poirier beat Oliveira just so he can have that rematch. But he's looked good ever since then. I mean, he did fight Khabib in 2020, but it's Khabib. You're not always going to win those, and nobody has. So I think if he gets that title fight, I think that's going to be a matchup that we all want to see.
Tim, I got to agree with you. I think it was not only the fight of the night, but I think this may be in contention for fight of the year. Just the storylines and the fireworks that came from this fight, it was just incredible. You know, Gaethje, Chandler, they're known for those big combo punches, and they showed it coming out in the first round. You know, Chandler really threw those and had Gaethje on the ropes in the first round, but we saw that Gaethje in the second round came back, hit Chandler with a vicious uppercut, and knocked him on the floor. And, you know, Chandler was able to get up and recover, but I think that completely threw off the momentum for the rest of the fight. And like you said, I think now this fight really didn't need to show that Gaethje deserves a title shot, but it definitely helped his legacy and helped, you know, the voters and the rest of UFC see that he is in contention for a title fight. So I think in terms of what's next for Gaethje, I think definitely we have to see about the Oliveira fight versus Poirier, and then whoever wins that should definitely be the title fight against Gaethje. So that's what's next probably for Gaethje, for Justin Gaethje and his squad.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more exciting ones of last night. Now let's move to the women's strawweight rematch. Champion Rose Namajunas defended her title in a close fight against number 1 ranked Zhang Weili. Starting with Carlos, I mean, I have to ask, since the fight was this close, did Rose deserve the win?
You know, I'm starting to see a lot of controversy online whether who really deserved to win that fight. And, you know, Rose Namajunas, she's the champion, and she defended the strawweight belt. So when you're the champion, you know, that holds a little bit more significant weight in terms of the voting for the cards for each round. Do I think she should have won? I don't know. Zhang Weili put up a great fight. She came out in the first round and really attacked Rose Namajunas' legs. We saw by the third round there was significant swelling and bruising in Rose's legs, and that impacted her stance for the rest of the fight. However, Rose was able to come back and give kicks of her own. So I think that this was such a close fight that Rose barely escaped. And, you know, she defended her title, so we'll see what's next for her. I think that she's going to have to fight another fight to regain that strawweight title and just really solidify herself as having that belt, because this was an awfully close fight, and I think if Zhang Weili comes back for round 3 of this, I think it's going to be a whole different story.
Well, I could definitely see a round 3 of this because of how close it was, but the reason that I think Rose really won this fight was she was 2 for 2 on takedowns and had 7 minutes of ground control, and she did that all in round 5, basically. Round 5, going into it, I could see it 2-2. I could see it both ways. I think Weili dominated for the first ones, kind of caught Rose by surprise a little bit, but once Rose got her game plan together, and you saw it in the corner, they were saying, just have fun out there. Just enjoy the moment. And you could tell she really started to pick up it with that. And in round 5, she went to the takedown, and it worked effectively. And that's what I really think she won the fight. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see another one of these two go at it, because it's just so close that there's always going to be that controversy where Rose is going to probably be like, well, I want to make sure that people know I'm legit. So I could see this happening again.
Yeah, I could definitely see it happen again. One of the closest fights that I've ever seen in my life. But now let's get to where everyone's been waiting for. While Colby Covington did go the distance with Kamaru Usman this time around, Usman defended his title in a unanimous decision once again. What implications does this have for not only Usman, but Covington as well?
I think you got to start talking about Usman as the greatest welterweight of all time. And it pains me to say it, but it's true. He's got 15 straight wins now, second most in UFC history, and there is no weakness to his game. He is 100% in the UFC on takedown defense, 100%. And we saw Colby try to go to that in the later rounds just to get Usman off his game, and he just couldn't. I mean, round 2, when he caught Colby, I thought it was over. I really did. So give Colby credit. He came back, and Honestly, he looked great, but Usman just never looks phased. And his striking was always considered his weakness, but he looks fantastic now, his striking. Just pure power behind all of his punches. So I'm going to put him in that conversation for the greatest welterweight of all time, and maybe one of the greatest of all time, period.
Tim, that's a great point. I mean, there was no doubt Kamaru Usman controlled the fight for the whole night, and you said that he has no holes in his game. Simply put, he's a beast, right? He's in contention for one of the best welterweight fighters of all time, if not one of the greatest UFC fighters. We saw that after the fight. Dana White said that he thinks that Kamaru Usman is the greatest welterweight fighter and could be on his way to being one of the greatest UFC fighters ever, if not the best. In terms of the fight, Kamaru Usman has a 15-game match streak now, the second behind Anderson Silva with 16, another UFC great and a welterweight great. So anytime you're in the same sentence as Anderson Silva, you know there's some high praise there. He was able to control the fight the whole night. Seems like there was just no way for Colby Covington to come back and really win the fight. And this is the 5th time that Kamaru Usman has defended the welterweight title belt. He's only second behind GSP, Georges St. Pierre, with 9, another great UFC legend. So once again, if you're in the same sentence as guys like Anderson Silva, GSP, you're one of the greats in your sport. Is he the greatest right now? I think that's a little bit too early to tell. He's definitely up there, but I'm excited to see what's the rest to come in terms of Kamaru Usman's career and the rest of his fights, what his corner is going to do for his next match.
I think I have to agree with Carlos here. I don't think you can give Usman the nudge yet over GSP and Silva, but he's definitely in that conversation. Well, next on the docket is UFC Fight Night 197 on November 13th, as former featherweight champion Max Holloway battles Latin American star Yair Rodriguez. But eyes on everyone remain on the aforementioned championship match between lightweights Charles Oliveira and interim championship Dustin Poirier next month. That's all we have for right now. For Tim Rogers and Carlos Garcia, I'm Joe Callahan, and have a great day.
Thank you for watching this edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also, follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.